Today I want to share with you my Sam's haul and show you how I shop for traditional foods at Sam's. Hi sweet friends, I'm Mary and welcome to Mary's Nest, where I teach traditional cooking skills for making nutrient-dense foods like bone broth, ferments, sourdough, and more. So if you enjoy learning about those things, consider subscribing to my channel. And don't forget to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Well, after my video about my Costco haul, where I shared with you how I like to shop for traditional foods at Costco, many of you asked me, do I shop at Sam's? And if so, what do I like to buy at Sam's? So today, that's what I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to go over with you all the types of things that I like to buy at Sam's for my traditional foods kitchen, and I'll also include the prices that I pay. Now I know some of you may be wondering why I have a membership at both Costco and Sam's, and that's a great question. My husband is a big fan of the Sam's automotive department. When we travel, which we didn't do very much in 2020, but we'll be getting back to it again, but when we travel, we love to go on road trips. And if we have any trouble with a nail in a tire or a problem with our battery, there are Sam's pretty much everywhere where we travel by car, and so we can easily go there and get road assistance that we need. So the fact that my husband loves to drive and we go on a lot of road trips, he likes to have a membership at Sam's. So I'm the beneficiary and I get to shop there from time to time. And I'm so happy that I get to shop there because there are some items I really like from Sam's. One of the things I really love to buy at Sam's for my traditional foods kitchen are their frozen berries. I feel these are a very good buy and they're organic and they're perfect for buying this time of year because as we go into the hot summer months, this is the time when we really enjoy smoothies. Now, do I buy a lot of fresh berries at my local grocery store? Definitely. And we grow a lot of berries here in Texas, especially strawberries. So I always find a lovely selection at my grocery store. But I also like to buy these. The price is very good and they're organic and they're already frozen. So they come in so handy when it comes to making smoothies. Now these are 3 pounds of organic frozen strawberries and I paid $8.68 for those. And I think that's a great buy because for about a pound of fresh strawberries that are also organic, at my local grocery store, I would probably be paying for them in season about $3.98 a pound. Next here, I've got organic blueberries, which I love to have. These are just so nutritious and so good for us. And this is also a 3-pound bag. They're also organic, and these were $8.98. And then finally, I like to get this triple berry blend. This is especially nice for when I'm feeling lazy and don't want to have to mix and match a bunch of berries. And this also has blackberries and raspberries in it, which is very nice. And again, this is 3 pounds and it's organic, and it was $8.98. So these were both $8.98 and this was $8.68. And they're all 3 pounds. And I'll share a little tip with you, something that I like to do if you are really in a rush in the morning and you want to make a smoothie and you want to be real quick about it. I can take some blueberries, some strawberries, or some of these mixed berries, put them in a container that are in my freezer, throw in some greens, maybe throw in a little piece of chopped banana or something like that, and then it's all ready, and then all I have to do is dump it into my blender, pour in my liquid, and I'm good to go. Next, I really like to look through all the fresh fruits and vegetables that they sell at Sam's. They have an excellent selection. And I saw these pineapples and they were just $2.44 each, which I thought was fantastic. And I can make a lot of use out of these because I'll remove the rind and we'll enjoy the pineapple, which we like very much. If you eat pineapple on an empty stomach, it's very good for aches and pains. It's high in something called, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, bromelain or bromelain. And if you eat it on a full stomach, it helps with digestion, so it's multi-purpose. Then I can use these rinds to make a fruit scrap pineapple vinegar, so very little will go to waste. Next, for $3.98, I bought this bag of the little petite carrots, and this is 3 pounds, and they're organic. And I thought that this was a good buy. Now, I know some of you have shared with me that you're not a fan of buying these petite carrots because they come from carrots that were imperfect and that they're sort of recut to look like petite carrots, but they weren't necessarily grown as petite carrots. And then some of you expressed concern to me that maybe they're washed in a solution that may not be perfect, you know, in terms of what you consider to be appropriate for a traditional foods kitchen and so on and so forth. And I understand that completely. But something that I want to share with you is that it's very important to me to always share with you some shortcuts that I take, and hopefully some of those shortcuts can help some of you. Because over the years that I've been teaching traditional nutrient-dense foods cooking, I was often teaching people who were complete beginners. They were right at the beginning of their journey, moving from a processed foods kitchen to a traditional foods kitchen. And it can be very overwhelming if you're a purist when you're teaching these people, helping them to know that it's okay to take shortcuts. And little by little by little, they can transition to really having not necessarily the perfect traditional foods kitchen, nothing's perfect, but they can transition to where they're doing things as close to a traditional foods kitchen as possible. But something that I have found, and have really been like that over the course of my life, trying to always have my kitchen be a very traditional foods kitchen. But sometimes as I get older, it's nice to have a little shortcut every now and again. So that's why I enjoy buying these every once in a while. And so I thought that was a great buy for $3.98, and they are organic, so that's definitely on the good side. Next, I picked up this box of baby spring mix, and it is organic, and it's 1 pound. And whenever I see these big containers of spring mix, I really do like to pick them up. And this was, I thought, a very good buy, $3.44. This is so useful to me in my kitchen because I can throw this into a frying pan with some ghee or butter or olive oil, some garlic, some onions, whatever I want, and have a fantastic side dish. I can also use this in salad. I can also use this in smoothies. How I shared with you earlier, when you put your little bag or your little container together where you've got your frozen fruit, maybe some banana in there, and you throw in some greens, these are the type of greens I find perfect for that because it's a nice mix. You're not just relying on spinach or kale or whatever the case may be. You're really getting a nice nutrient-dense mixed profile of vitamins and minerals from these mixed greens. So whenever I see these, and for a price that I think is pretty good, and they're organic, whether I see them at Sam's or Costco or at my local H-E-B grocery store, I always like to have a box of these in my refrigerator. And speaking of Costco, this is a little side story, so to speak, from my Sam's haul. But the day we went to Sam's, we also stopped at Costco because my husband needed a few things to do with the computer and whatnot. And so while he was doing that, I was sort of wandering around Costco a little bit, and I saw these little baby cherry tomatoes. I think these are the grape ones, you know, that are kind of little on the oval side. Mine are still green in my garden, and I love these. I find these so useful for salads. You can also add these into smoothies if you want, and you can even cook with these, throw them in, cut them in half, throw them in with some chicken, and you have a wonderful meal with a nice, it can really create a nice sauce. You can use them to make a fresh tomato sauce. There's just so much that you can do with these little baby tomatoes. So I picked those up, and then while I was also tooling around Costco's vegetable section, I saw these Campari tomatoes, which I couldn't resist. I love these. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with these. Let me open the packaging. But they look like almost like a little Sweet 100 cherry tomato, but they're just a little bigger. And these are so sweet and so delicious. I like to cut them in half, put them in a frying pan in some olive oil, and let them cook, then turn them right side up, let them finish cooking a little till they're nice and soft. Then I top them with some toasted homemade breadcrumbs. It's one of my husband's favorite summer side dishes. So whenever I see these Campari, whether I see them at Costco or Sam's or at, sometimes I even see them at our local grocery store, I love to get these. So that was my little side shopping trip at Costco that I did want to share with you. The next thing I want to talk about are canned goods. And Sam's, not unlike Costco, has a huge selection of canned goods. And something I really like about these big box stores is how they package their canned goods in cases like this. It makes it so easy to store in your prepper pantry or your extended pantry. And if you're new to the terminology prepper pantry or extended pantry, what it refers to is one of the areas of what's called your Four Corners pantry. And the Four Corners pantry is basically an umbrella term that covers your everyday working pantry, what you access every day, your refrigerator, your freezer, and then your extended pantry or your prepper pantry. And what you store in your extended pantry or your prepper pantry are basically non-perishable items, often ones that you've found on sale or can buy in bulk. And canned goods are terrific for your prepper pantry because here in the United States, the U.S. Department of Agriculture tells us that canned goods can last way past their best buy date. And your prepper pantry or extended pantry is what you use to restock your working pantry. And having a well-stocked prepper pantry is very important so that you don't run out of food. And this can happen if you lose your job and money is very tight, or if you're ill, or if you have bad weather, or if we go through something like we went through in 2020, where there were problems with the supply chain and then there were shortages. So having that extended pantry is always a very good idea to have. And this way you don't need to be worrying about rushing out and stocking up, because you never want to be a hoarder. You want to be the person who each time you go grocery shopping buys a few things to add to your extended pantry. And that way, when there are problems that arise in your personal situation or on a national level, you don't have to rush out because you've already stocked up. And preferably, you've stocked up when things were on sale or you were able to buy them in bulk. And I have a whole series of videos on why we need a prepper pantry, how to stock your prepper pantry with real food. You don't need to buy anything expensive or fancy, no freeze-dried food, nothing like that. And I also show you how to do it by just adding an additional $5 a week to your grocery budget. So I'll be sure to link to that playlist in the iCards and in the description below. And if you are making the transition from a processed foods kitchen to a traditional foods kitchen and you want some help to know what types of foods you should be stocking in your overall Four Corners pantry, what type of traditional foods, I have a free 36-page pantry list, which I'll definitely put the link to that in the description underneath this video. And you can click on that link and you can download it or put it on your phone. You can print it out, whatever you need to do. And then you can always have that handy to help you know how you should go about stocking your Four Corners pantry with traditional foods. And I think you'll find that pantry list very helpful because I have a lot of information in there in addition to what foods to stock. I have a lot of links to videos and printable recipes for how to turn these ingredients into nutritious and delicious meals. But getting back to the canned goods that I like to buy at Sam's, I really like to get these Lindsay large black olives. Our son loves these, and he'll be coming home to visit soon, so I'm happy that I've got 6 cans here for him. And the reason that I like these is, and it may say it here on the front, yeah, it says it on my side too, there's no artificial flavors and made with sea salt, and that's basically what they are, large black olives with water and sea salt, so you can't beat that. And altogether, there are 6 cans in here, and they weigh 2 pounds 4 ounces. All 6 cans weigh 2 pounds 4 ounces. And they cost $7.87. And something that I really like at Sam's is their canned chicken. Now there are 6 cans in this wrapper, and why I really like these is that they are just chicken breast meat, water and salt, and nothing else. And there's no MSG in here either. And for all 6 cans, this was $9.28. I can't find it less than that anywhere. Even my grocery store sells this for about $12. And I just find this so handy. If you have to throw a quick meal together, I have a recipe where 10 minutes you can have a chicken tortilla soup ready with some canned beans and some canned corn and this canned chicken, and it is so delicious and no one will know it took you 10 minutes to make. But it's having things like this in your pantry and little recipes like that under your belt that really can save the day when you've had a very long day and you're very tired, but you need to get dinner on the table. I also have a recipe where I show you how to use this to make chicken patties. And the problem sometimes with canned chicken that some of you have shared with me is that when you open the can, you feel that it smells like tuna fish and looks like tuna fish, and to a certain extent that's true. But in that chicken patty video, I show you how to really give this chicken a good treatment, a good rinsing, and then turn it into delicious chicken patties with a lot of nice seasoning. Nobody's going to think there's any tuna fish anywhere nearby. And I'll be sure to link to that recipe and the soup recipe as well in the iCards and in the description below. And if I ever run out of room in the iCards, you know I always put everything in the description, so you can always find everything there. And next, I gotta tell you, something that I love about Sam's is how they sell these institutional size cans of different fruits and vegetables. Whenever you can buy a really big can of something like this, it really brings down the price per ounce. And it always brings back memories to me that whenever my mother could find a big can like this at the grocery store on the very bottom shelf of our little grocery store back home, that she would always snatch it up, and she was always so happy because she was able to save some money. Now this is 6 pounds, 11 ounces of canned pineapple. And it's just in pineapple juice, no sugar syrup, and I love that. And this can was $5.72. That's for almost 7 pounds of pineapple tidbits. Now yes, we'll eat the fresh pineapple first, but I always have a couple of cans of this, one in my working pantry and a couple in my extended pantry, because my husband and I really like to eat pineapple all year long. As I mentioned, it's high in bromelain. That's wonderful for helping with aches and pains when eaten on an empty stomach, and it also helps with digestion after if you eat it after eating a full meal. Plus, it's something that we really enjoy just as a little bit of a treat after dinner, and it keeps us from eating a sweet snack. So I highly recommend pineapple if you tend to look for a little sweet snack after dinner. This is so satisfying, and it helps you digest your dinner, and that's really wonderful, especially if you have any trouble, with acid reflux or indigestion, GERD, things like that. The bromelain in it can really help aid in that whole process of helping you digest your meal and hopefully prevent indigestion. Now, I know from in the past, some of you have shared with me that you're concerned about buying such large cans of fruit, these institutional-sized cans of fruit, and I understand that completely. But what you can do with this is simply divide it into individual portions and freeze it in those individual portions, and then it defrosts beautifully. Now, I'd also like to hear from those of you who do canning, who do home canning. Now, I can fresh fruit in its own juice. I have videos where I show you how to do that. I have one where I'm canning fresh pears, and I'll be sure to link to that in the iCards and in the description below. You can water bath can fresh fruit, and you can water bath can it right in its own juice. But can you water bath can this? That's a great question. Now, my husband and I will go through this relatively quickly because we will eat it as a snack and also as something after dinner. But if you think that you may not go through it that quickly and you don't want to freeze it in individual portions or even maybe with some of your smoothie mixes, can you water bath can this? And that is something I have not tried. But I know a number of you have asked me once you open canned food, can you go ahead and re-can it? Now, water bath canning, which is something you can do with fruit, is not a long process. Generally, it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes that it's in the hot boiling water bath, versus pressure canning, which is generally a much longer process, which may make food that's already been cooked or canned somewhat mushy at the end of the process. But so I have not water bath canned fruit, but if you have, let me know in the comments below, and let me know how the texture was after you opened your water bath canned fruit that had already been previously canned. Now, Sam's always has a great selection of natural sweeteners. And even if you're looking for white sugar, they carry the Wholesome brand, which is a brand that I really like. And it's organic, and it's in a large bag, and it's a good cost savings as opposed to buying it in a smaller bag at the grocery store. Now, I generally don't keep a lot of white sugar on hand unless I think I'm going to be making some jams, some homemade jams. And I have videos where I show you how to do all this, but even if I am making my own homemade jams, I always do a low sugar version. So yes, I do need some white sugar, but I don't have to go, I don't need huge volumes of sugar. And if you're interested in learning how to make homemade jam and then water bath can it, you don't have to, you can put it right in your fridge. But I have a lot of videos on that. I have how to make a low sugar jam, how to make a jam with no sugar, and how to even make a jam without any store-bought pectin. And so I'll be sure to link to those in the iCards and in the description below. But something that I never seem to be able to buy enough of is honey. Now, if you've seen my video on forever foods, where I talk about foods that last forever, one of those forever foods, and I'll be sure to link to that. I believe that's in the Prepper Pantry playlist, so I'm sure you'll come across it. But one of those forever foods is honey. And I really can't buy, I really just don't seem to be able to buy enough honey. And I especially like to have Texas honey because I take a little bit of honey every day, about a teaspoonful or so, because I believe that it helps protect me against having any seasonal allergies. And I don't have any allergies. So maybe it really helps. But you may not necessarily see this particular honey at your Sam's, but you may see some other local honey, because I've seen other Sam's hauls on YouTube where people were showing the local honey in the particular state that they were in. So keep your eye open for local honey, because that'll be filled with all of the various things that the bees are collecting that are local to your area. And when I say local, I say Texas. Anything in Texas I consider local. But it'll be local maybe to your state and may help you if you are subject to having seasonal allergies. They say sometimes all the pollen and whatnot that's in the honey can help you build up a resistance to the pollen that may be in your area. So whenever I see different honeys, we have Good Flow, which I've often found at Costco, and that's from a town called Round Rock, which is north of Austin. It's about like an hour or so from us. So whenever I see something like that, I'll pick that up. This was new to me when I saw this Kelly's Local Texas Honey at Sam's. I pick that up. And whenever I can find Nate's honey, and especially this one was nice, it's organic, I pick this up. Now this is packaged in Texas, but I don't really know specifically where the honey comes from. So you may see this at your local Sam's. And this is a really nice honey. It's got a nice dark color to it. I feel that it must have a lot of good nutrition to it. And I like to have pourable honeys. I also like the creamed honeys, and I like the honey with the honeycomb. And I have a variety, as I mentioned earlier. But pourable honeys just come in so handy. They come in handy for making home remedies. They come in handy by taking on a teaspoon. They come in handy for adding to your tea. They come in handy for cooking and baking. So I can really never have enough pourable honey. So I usually buy different varieties, and pretty much whether I'm shopping at Sam's or Costco or Walmart or my local grocery store, I'll always pick up some pourable honey. And as I said, this is a forever food, so you never have to worry about it going bad. Now this Kelly's Local Texas honey is 3 pounds and it's raw and unfiltered, and it was $10.48. Now the Nate's honey is organic and it's also raw and unfiltered like my Local Texas honey, but this is only 2.5 pounds and it was actually more expensive. This was $12.98, but that's because it's organic. The next thing that I love to buy at Sam's, and I'll always buy this whenever I'm there and I see that they have it in stock, is this maple syrup. This is 32 fluid ounces and it's $9.93. I don't think anybody can beat that price. And we use a little bit of maple syrup almost every day on our oatmeal, so I always like to have this in my pantry in stock. And what I like about this syrup is this is the dark maple syrup. You may remember a while ago, maple syrup used to be graded grade A and grade B. Now everything is labeled grade A, but the original grade A will be labeled sometimes, I believe they use the terminology light, and then for grade B, or what is now grade A, but is the original grade B, is labeled grade A dark. Sometimes they'll say dark and robust. And what I like about the dark maple syrup is that it's richer in vitamins and minerals, and I like that stronger maple flavor. So if you like the robust flavored maple syrup, you cannot go wrong with picking this up at Sam's. Now those of you who have known me for a while will find it no surprise that when I shop at Sam's, I buy coffee. I got a big chuckle from so many of you when I showed the video about all the Texas storms we went through in February and the really cold weather and the loss of power and all of that. But in any event, I joked about how whenever the power would come on, I would say to my husband, "Rush, turn the coffee pot on." And then I would make the coffee for the little window of opportunity where we had power and then pour it into a thermos to keep it hot. But in all seriousness, I really love to shop for coffee. And you may even notice, which many of you have commented on, that I have 2 coffee pots. And the reason that is because my husband likes decaf and I like, as they say, the high test. Now, yes, I do like to buy the Ruta Maya coffee that they sell at Costco and also at my local grocery store. And those come in a medium blend and a dark blend, and it also has a decaf blend that my husband drinks. But I have noticed that sometimes I really need to drink a lighter blend coffee. Sometimes the medium roast and the dark roast can be a little hard on my stomach. And so I discovered, I first experimented and bought a bag of this, and now this is like one of my favorite coffees at Sam's. It's this and the maple syrup. Those are 2 things that, boy, whenever I'm at Sam's, it's like the first things I look for. But I love this coffee. This is an organic breakfast blend. It's the whole beans. I do buy the whole beans because they store better and store longer, and then I grind them, and I actually batch kind of grind them since we do drink coffee every day, so I'm not grinding every morning, but I'll grind enough, you know, for about a month's supply or so. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, so this is the whole bean, and this is a light roast, and I've got to tell you, if you're looking for a light roast, this is such a tasty coffee. And this bag holds 2.5 pounds of the beans, and it's $12.64, which I think is a really great buy for organic coffee beans. And it says here that it has a pleasant aroma with sweet and citrus notes. And I will tell you, this is a delicious coffee. So if you shop at Sam's and you're looking for a coffee that really fits well into the traditional foods kitchen, this is organic, it's the whole bean, and it's got a lovely, lovely flavor. Now, in addition to food, there are things that I really like to search out at Sam's for my kitchen. And so I've got the supplies here that I generally like to buy whenever we're shopping there. And one of those things is kosher salt. This salt comes in very handy for a lot of things. Now this is 3 pounds of kosher salt, and this was only $2.38. And the reason that I wanted to share this with you and show you that this is available at Sam's for a very reasonable price is because some of you have told me that right now your budgets just don't allow being able to buy sea salt. And so what are some other options for the traditional foods kitchen, especially when you're on that journey moving from a processed foods kitchen to a traditional foods kitchen? Buying kosher salt can be a good option, and it's also very budget friendly. So go ahead and use this kosher salt for your cooking while you're on your journey before you get to the point where you are eventually incorporating sea salt, or as some of you have told me you like to use real salt, one of those options. So until you're at the point where you're incorporating that into your traditional foods cooking, this can be a good option. And given my love of coffee, I don't think that this will surprise any of you that I like to buy coffee filters when I'm at Sam's. This is a great buy. These are 700 filters, and I paid $3.12. Yes, I know they're made from the bleached paper, and if you like to buy the ones from the unbleached paper, I understand completely, but I feel this is a very budget-friendly option for $3.12 for 700 filters. Another thing for supplies for my kitchen and really for my home in general, when I'm at Sam's, I always like to pick up one of these really large bags, a total of 15 pounds size of baking soda. And for this 15 pounds, I pay $7, or I recently paid at Sam's $7.74. And so I think that's a good buy because I use this in a lot of ways, not only in baking, but I also use this for cleaning. I also use this in my washing machine. So I use this throughout my whole house. So that's why I buy it in bulk. It seems to last forever. And I feel it's also a very good buy. I also use it in my refrigerator to absorb odors. So there's so many uses for baking soda. The next thing I like to get at Sam's when I need it is aluminum foil. And I like that they carry the heavy-duty one and that they have it in a 2-pack. Now this was $14.98, but this is going to last me a very long time. This is a total of 300 square feet, so I'm not going to go through this anytime soon. But I do like to have aluminum foil on hand because sometimes there are just some really messy jobs that I've got to do in the kitchen, and having some aluminum foil that I can line whatever I'm going to be using, maybe like a baking sheet, and it can just make cleanup easy. I'm all for this, I will be honest with you. Yes, I have scrubbed many a baking sheet, baking pan, pot, whatever the case may be, but sometimes it can be such a messy job that I'm dealing with that having a little aluminum foil does save me time, and especially if I'm doing something in the evening after I've had a long day and I'm tired, and I know that I can have the cleanup process be very easy, I'm willing to use a little aluminum foil. And the reason is, I will tell you, in the past I used to be a little stickler about it and never want to use aluminum foil. But sometimes it might be, oh gosh, sometimes it'd be midnight. This is when I was a little younger, and I had put my son to bed, and my husband was already in bed, but I was like finishing or doing some project, rendering fat or making bone broth, who knows, one of my many traditional food adventures. And I would be so tired, and I would have a dirty baking sheet. And I would just pop it into my oven just to kind of hide it out of sight. The oven's off and everything, you know, so it's just a cold oven. And I'd say, oh, I'll just clean that in the morning. Well, sometimes I would forget. And a couple of days would pass, and then I would go to open my oven to do something in it, and that big mess would be waiting for me. So now and again, if I'm doing something and it's in the evening, I find having a little aluminum foil can come in very handy. And then that leads us to talking about some parchment paper. And this is a really nice parchment paper, and I was so pleased when I saw this at Sam's. Now this is 2 rolls, and this was a total of $10.48. And this is just a lovely, high-quality parchment paper. It's made in France. It's got the non-stick, genuine vegetable coating. So I was just pleased as punch. And this is a total of 205 square feet. This is going to last me a long time. And I do like to have some parchment paper on hand. Yes, if you're doing something, you can grease your baking sheet and you don't need to worry about using parchment paper. But there are some tasks in the kitchen when having parchment paper and you're able to line your baking sheet with the parchment paper come in very handy. If you've seen the videos where I show you how to dehydrate bone broth, parchment paper can come in so handy for that job. And you don't need special equipment. You don't need to necessarily do that in a dehydrator. You can do it in your oven. But having parchment paper is really important to help that process along. And I especially like that this is the non-stick version and a natural non-stick version, because when you make certain things like my the sourdough starter discard crackers, having non-stick parchment paper is very important. Otherwise, it can be difficult to loosen your crackers. Now, can you use a Silpat or other type silicone mat? Definitely. And I have those and I think very well of them. So for $10.48 for over 200 square feet of parchment paper, especially a nice, genuine vegetable non-stick parchment paper, this price can't be beat. Now, if you'd like to see more hauls, including my Costco haul where I shop for my traditional foods kitchen, be sure to click on this video over here where I have a playlist that includes that haul, as well as how to shop for your prepper pantry and for as little as $5 a week. And I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country kitchen. Love and God bless.